For over 1,000 years, people built machines with one single goal: to cause the most pain a human body could take without dying too fast. Some crushed bones inch by inch. Others cooked people alive from the inside out. And the worst part? Crowds gathered to watch, like it was a show. These are the 20 most horrific torture devices ever created, and number 1 is pure evil. Number 20, the thumb screw. We start with something small, something that could fit in your pocket. But do not let the size fool you, because the thumb screw brought grown men to their knees in seconds. It was a tiny metal clamp. Your thumbs go in between two flat plates, and a screw on top gets turned slowly. With every twist, the plates press tighter. First you feel pressure, then pain. Then you hear the crack as the bones inside your fingers snap one by one. This device showed up all across Europe during the medieval period. Guards at the Tower of London loved it because it was easy to carry and the pain traveled through the whole body like electricity. Most people confessed within minutes, and because it left almost no marks on the outside, officials could pretend they never touched you. But this was the easy stuff. What comes next gets a whole lot darker. Number 19, the tongue terror. Say the wrong thing in the wrong century, and they had a tool made just for your mouth. The tongue terror was a rough pair of metal scissors built to grab your tongue and rip it clean out. The jaws locked down with a tight grip, and then the torturer pulled hard. One yank, and it was gone. The bleeding was massive, and most victims died from infection within days. The ones who lived could never speak again and could barely eat. The message was simple. You talked too much, so they took your ability to talk forever. And the next device made sure you could never walk again either. Number 18, the boot. They called it the Spanish boot, and it was built for one thing: destroying your legs from the knee down. Your lower leg got placed between two heavy boards made of wood or iron. Then the torturer hammered wedges in between the boards, one after another. Each swing drove the wedges deeper, crushing the muscles, splitting the bones, and turning everything below the knee into a wreck. This was a favorite in Scotland and France during the 1500s and 1600s. Some versions got even worse because they poured boiling oil into the boot while it was still on your leg. Nobody who went through this ever walked again. That was the whole point. Even if they let you go, you carried the punishment for life. And that idea of carrying your punishment forever? It shows up again and again on this list. Number 17, the coffin torture. Now we move into something that is less about physical pain and more about losing your mind. The victim got locked inside a tight metal cage shaped like a human body and hung from a tree or a public pole. The cage was so tight you could not move your arms, your legs, or even turn your head. Then came the waiting. The sun burned you during the day. Freezing cold ate through your bones at night. Birds pecked at exposed skin, and crowds below threw rocks and rotten food at you for fun. This punishment was handed out for insulting the king or speaking against the church, and the whole town came out to watch. Death took days, sometimes weeks, and after you finally died, your body stayed up there rotting as a warning to everyone else. But trust me, the physical devices coming up made even this slow death look gentle. Number 16, the heretic's fork. This one was a metal bar with two sharp prongs on each end. One end got pressed up into the soft skin under your chin. The other end dug into your chest. A leather strap held the whole thing in place around your neck so it could not slip off. Now here was the trap. You had to keep your head perfectly raised at all times. The second your chin dropped from tiredness, the prongs stabbed deeper into your throat and chest. You could not sleep. You could not talk. The Spanish Inquisition used this on anyone accused of going against the church, and victims wore it for days straight. No sleep, constant stabbing pain, your mind breaking apart piece by piece until you told them whatever they wanted to hear. And that was only one toy in the Inquisition's box. They had so much worse. Number 15. The knee splitter. 2 blocks of wood covered in sharp spikes got placed on both sides of your knee. A big screw connected the blocks together, and as the torturer turned it, the spikes bit into your skin and crushed the kneecap from both directions at once. By the time they were done, the knee was completely destroyed. This was popular in Germany, Spain, and Italy during the Middle Ages, and what made it worse was that it was usually just the first step. Torturers started with the knees, then the elbows, then the ankles. They were not trying to kill you fast. They wanted total control through pain that never ended. But at least with the knee splitter, you were sitting down. The next device made you sit too, and it was so much worse. Number 14. The iron chair. A big, heavy chair made completely of iron, and every surface was covered in hundreds of small, sharp spikes. You got strapped into it with leather belts, so you could not stand up or shift your weight. The spikes went into your back, your arms, your legs, everywhere. The spikes were designed to miss major blood vessels on purpose. That meant you bled slowly, very slowly. Some torturers lit a fire under the chair to heat the metal, adding burns on top of all those stab wounds. They left you sitting there for hours, sometimes a full day, asking questions between your screams. Most people talked before they even sat down, because just seeing this chair in the corner of the room was enough to break them. What came next did not need any chair, any machine, or any metal at all. Just a rope. Number 13. The strappado. All you needed was a rope and something high to tie it to. The victim's hands were tied behind their back, and then they were pulled up into the air by their wrists. Your full body weight now hung from your shoulder joints, and within minutes, both shoulders popped out of place with a sound you could hear across the room. But they did not stop there. Heavy weights got tied to the ankles, pulling the body down even harder. The strappado was one of the Inquisition's go-to methods. It needed no fancy equipment, which meant they could do it anywhere, at any time. Survivors walked away with arms that hung loose and dead, useless for life. And because this method left no cuts or burns, officials could say they never laid a hand on you. Now we are getting into the top 12, and every single one from here on is nightmare material. Number 12. The Spanish donkey. A long wooden board was sharpened along the top edge into a blade-like shape. The victim was stripped and forced to sit on that sharp edge with one leg on each side, straddling it. Then the torturers tied heavy weights to both ankles. Your own body weight plus the extra weight slowly drove that sharp edge upward into your body. The pain was beyond anything words can describe. Some victims split completely apart over the course of hours. This device showed up in Spain and later appeared during the American Civil War, where soldiers used it to punish deserters. And somehow, it only gets worse from here. Number 11. The breast ripper. This device was made to target women specifically, and the name tells you exactly what it did. The breast ripper was a metal claw, often heated until it glowed red, that was clamped onto a woman's chest. Then, with one hard pull, the torturer tore the flesh away. Women accused of cheating on their husbands, ending a pregnancy, or speaking against the church faced this across medieval Europe. Sometimes called the iron spider, it was used both as torture and public humiliation. The woman was dragged through the streets afterward, bleeding and barely able to stand, while the whole town watched. Those who survived usually died from infection or blood loss within days. But we are now entering the top 10, and every one of these will stick in your head for a long time.
Number 10. The head crusher. A metal cap went on top of the victim's head, and a metal bar went under the chin. A screw connected the two pieces. As the torturer turned the screw, your entire head got squeezed between the cap and the bar, tighter and tighter with every turn. First, the teeth cracked and fell apart. Then, the jaw broke. Then the bones around your eye sockets collapsed, and your eyes were pushed right out of your skull. And if they kept turning, the skull itself caved in, and the brain was crushed. This was used during the Inquisition and across medieval Europe to force confessions. Even if the torturer stopped early, the damage to the face and skull was permanent and horrible. And the next one on this list went inside the body instead of crushing it from the outside. Number 9. The pear of anguish. This pear-shaped metal device was put into the victim's mouth and sometimes into other openings of the body. A screw at the top let the torturer slowly open the device, forcing 4 sharp metal leaves to spread wider and wider inside. As the leaves expanded, they ripped through skin, muscle, and tissue from the inside out. The torturer controlled the pace, opening it one tiny bit at a time while asking questions between the screams. This device was used on people accused of lying, witchcraft, or homosexuality. Historians believe versions appeared in Europe between the 1500s and 1700s, though the exact origin is still debated. Now we hit the famous ones, and famous does not mean less terrifying. Number 8. The Iron Maiden. This is probably the most well-known torture device in all of history. It was a tall iron box shaped like a person, and the inside was covered in dozens of long, sharp metal spikes. The victim got shoved in, and the door was slowly closed behind them, pushing the spikes into the chest, the face, the arms, and the legs. The spikes were placed so they missed the heart and other major organs on purpose. That meant you did not die right away. You just stood there in complete darkness, bleeding from dozens of holes, trapped inside a metal coffin with no way out. The most famous version was the Iron Maiden of Nuremberg. Some historians say it may have actually been built in the 1800s and not the medieval period, but the legend has scared people for centuries either way.
And the device that comes next did the exact opposite of what you might expect. Number 7. The Scavenger's Daughter. Most torture devices pulled you apart. This one crushed you inward. The Scavenger's Daughter was a big iron hoop with a hinge in the middle. The victim was forced into a tight crouch, and the hoop was locked around them and tightened with a screw, squeezing the body smaller and smaller. Ribs snapped, organs got pressed together until they ruptured. Blood came pouring out of the nose and ears from the pressure alone. A man named Skevington invented this thing in the 1500s while he was working at the Tower of London. They named it after him at first, before giving it the creepier title. It was used on political prisoners and accused traitors, and survivors walked away with crushed ribs and destroyed insides that never healed right. Number 6. Rat torture. No machines, no metal, just one very scared rat. The victim was tied down flat on their back. A live rat got placed on their bare stomach. Then a metal bucket was put over the rat, trapping it against the skin. And then someone lit a fire on top of that bucket. As the metal got hot, the rat went crazy trying to escape. The only direction it could go was down, straight through the victim's body. The animal started clawing and biting through skin, then muscle, then organs, tunneling its way through the stomach to get away from the heat. The whole thing could take over an hour, and the victim was awake the entire time. This method was used across Europe and Asia for centuries. What made it truly terrifying was knowing what was coming. You could feel the rat moving inside you. Most victims died hours later from infection and internal bleeding. The top 5 are next, and each earned its spot. Number 5. The rack. A flat wooden frame with a roller on each end. Your wrists got tied to one roller, your ankles to the other.
Then the torturer turned a crank, and the rollers started pulling your body in two directions at once, stretching you beyond what any human body can handle. First, the joints popped out of place, then the muscles and tendons tore, and if the torturer kept cranking, your arms and legs came off completely. The rack arrived at the Tower of London in 1420, brought in by the Duke of Exeter. People started calling it the Duke of Exeter's daughter, which sounds almost funny until you see what it did. One of its most famous victims was a woman named Anne Askew, a Protestant writer tortured in 1546. She refused to give up the names of other believers. The rack destroyed her so badly that she could not walk, and guards had to carry her to her own execution. But the top four are still ahead, and they made even the rack look quick. Number 4. The Judas Cradle. A tall wooden frame held a sharp pyramid shape at the top, like a pointed seat. The victim was lifted above it using ropes, and then lowered slowly onto the sharp tip. The point pressed into the most sensitive parts of the body, and your own weight pushed you further and further down. The torture lasted hours, sometimes days. The torturer controlled the speed, lifting you up a little to give you a tiny break before dropping you back down. And the device was never cleaned between victims, so the filth and bacteria from the last person was still all over the point. Infection was almost guaranteed, and most people died from it even if they survived the torture itself. The worst part of the Judas Cradle was that nothing was hidden. You could see everything that was happening to your own body the whole time. No darkness, no blindfold, just pain you could watch. The top 3 made this one look almost peaceful. Almost. Number 3. Implement. You know the name Dracula, but the real person behind that legend was Vlad III of Wallachia, and he earned the name Vlad the Impaler for exactly the reason you think. A long, sharpened wooden stake was driven through the victim's body from below, pushed upward until it came out through the chest, the shoulder, or sometimes the mouth. And the really sick part? Skilled executioners could miss the major organs on purpose, which kept the victim alive on the stake for up to 3 days. 3 days, hanging in the air, slowly bleeding out while everyone watched. Records say Vlad once impaled 20,000 Ottoman soldiers and left all of their bodies standing on stakes outside his capital city. When the Ottoman army showed up and saw that massive forest of impaled bodies stretching out in front of them, they turned around and went home. Impalement was used across Turkey, Asia, and parts of Africa well into the 1800s. Over 1,000 years of one of the worst deaths ever invented. Number 2 found a way to make even that look fast.
Number 2. The breaking wheel, also called the Catherine wheel, and this was the longest, most drawn-out public execution in European history. The victim got tied face up to a large wooden wheel. Then the executioner picked up a heavy iron hammer and started breaking every major bone in the body. One by one, arms first, then legs, then ribs, then the spine. After every bone was smashed, the broken limbs got threaded through the spokes of the wheel, bent into twisted, unnatural shapes. The wheel was lifted onto a tall pole in the middle of a public square, and the victim was left up there, alive for everyone to watch. Birds came and started eating the exposed flesh while the person was still breathing. Death could take hours or days, depending on how hard the executioner hit. The breaking wheel was used across France and Germany from the Middle Ages all the way through the 1800s. Sometimes the executioner was told to give a final blow to the chest to end it. Other times they were ordered to let the body hang and suffer as long as it could last. But number 1 is the one that people still cannot believe was real. Number 1. The Brazen Bull. This is it. The most horrific torture device in the history of the world. The Brazen Bull was a life-sized statue of a bull made entirely from bronze, and it was completely hollow on the inside. A door on the side opened up so the victim could be placed inside, and then the door was sealed shut. A fire was lit underneath, and the metal heated up slowly, roasting the person alive inside it. But what made this device number one was the detail that went into it. A man named Perilos of Athens built the bull around 570 BCE for a tyrant named Phalaris, who ruled the city of Acragas in Sicily. Perilos designed a system of tubes and pipes inside the bull's head that took the victim's screams and twisted them so they came out sounding like a real bull bellowing. The smoke from the burning body drifted out of the bull's nose like incense. The whole execution was designed as entertainment for the crowd, and the story of how this device got used for the first time is almost too dark to be real. Phalaris told Perilos to climb inside and show him how the sound system worked. Perilos got in, and Phalaris locked the door and lit the fire. The man who built the bull became its very first victim. Phalaris kept using the bull for years after that, throwing enemies and traitors inside. But when the people of Acragas overthrew Phalaris in 554 BCE, they dragged him to his own bull, shoved him inside, and lit the fire one final time. The brazen bull was not just a killing machine. It was a machine that turned human pain into a show. And that is why it sits at number one. History had almost no limits when it came to cruelty. If this list